It's Talk Erie on the Joel Natale Show. We are live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State, and also live on Facebook and on YouTube. And I am excited to have here in the studio from my left, Easton Bazzoli. He is the men's head coach for the men's basketball team at Gannon University. Easton, welcome. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And we've got Coach Cleve Wright, the women's head basketball coach. Good to see you again, Coach Wright. Cleve, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so we're a family show. Easton, we'd like to hear your origin story. Where'd you come up? Where'd you play ball? And how did you get involved in coaching? What's that journey like?
Yeah, grew up right outside of Pittsburgh in Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania. Went to Seneca Valley High School. Was fortunate to be able to go and play in college at a Division II school in Ohio called Cedarville University. Enjoyed 4 years out there and kind of got straight into coaching from there. So felt like I was being called to coaching after having a sales job lined up, and called him about a week before and said, "Hey, I'm not coming." Got fortunate to know the right people to be able to get an opportunity, and I ended up being down in Tennessee at a great university called Union University for 6 years to start my career down there as a college basketball coach, and we did some cool things down there, before heading up here and getting the opportunity to be at Gannon. So, it's all a lot of just being able to be in the right place at the right time and knowing the right people, and it's been a blessing to be able to have those relationships that I still think in today's world, no matter what the case is, relationships are just so important, and the genuine ones are the ones that end up lasting a long time, and at the end of the day, that's why I got to be here right now. So it was just have a passion for the game, have a passion for being around college age men, and want to develop people and leaders, it brings me a ton of joy to be around that. Sure. And it just helps that love the game of basketball, and I'm really competitive. So that makes it all the more fun.
Is there ever a situation where a coach is not an accomplished player? I mean, you think about the classic coaches.
I wouldn't say I was an accomplished player. My college basketball career. If you compare it to the right people, I guess you could say heck of a career. But
Cedarville have a decent team? Or?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. If I was looking at my individual college basketball career, I'd probably be sitting there, and I am sitting here a little bit disappointed in what I was able to accomplish. But
reliving it.
To be honest, it's a little bit of a drive it was a little bit of a drive to get into coaching, because I never felt like I reached the potential I should have, and I think so much of it is the mental game, and knowing what the right mentality, confidence, belief, all that stuff goes into. Could be the exact same player with different levels of confidence, and one is great and one stinks.
Wow.
So I just think that. It's still a bit of a drive for me as a coach, because I was a pretty good high school basketball player, and probably went into college with a bit of an ego, thinking I was gonna be a monster from day one, and learned so much in college basketball, and probably took too long to figure out some of the mental side of it. I would say there's a lot of really successful coaches out there that can sit back and go, you know what? I probably wasn't the best player. I could put together a good highlight video, but don't dig too deep into my film, and you'll be all right.
Cleve, weigh in on this, because how much of this game is mental? Do you encounter the ladies, your women players, sometimes just they've checked themselves out, and are not able to perform to their potential?
Yeah. Well, I think I would combine, especially in my case, the mental as well as the emotional. I think there's the mental toughness that you have to have, and the emotional the emotional toughness, being able to keep your emotions under control. That certainly plays a part in our game. And you find that very interestingly that maybe the players that you have players that are maybe physically talented,
right,
very skilled, but maybe not as mentally tough. And you might have another player who's maybe not quite as skilled or maybe not quite as athletic, but mentally tough. And the mentally tough person is almost always going to win out. I mean, 90% of this game is the mental and the emotional and how you handle that.
Yeah. That's remarkable when you think about, because I mean, what do we hear? We hear about Kobe Bryant, spending time before the game, time after the game. I mean, that whole practice, that. But he's not just perfecting the shot.
Exactly.
He's perfecting his brain, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That was his mental. He knew he was outworking everybody. I wasn't a big Kobe Bryant fan. For the longest time until he became a girl dad. I guess I kind of figured him out then. I'm like, and I do think he matured in his leadership. He was very kind of self-motivated, a little bit self-centered. But boy, as he got older, I think he really figured it out and was a fan later.
Yeah. Again, we're kind of going all over the map here, but it's good. It's good to talk about these things because we're talking about summer camps and summer opportunities at Gannon and Gannon Athletics, and I want to get there because for the parents that are listening and the grandparents, it's like your kid's gonna learn more than just skills. They're gonna learn teamwork and dealing with that. Maybe there is that hot shot that's on the court, and I thought I was big at my little school and now I'm not. I mean, how many times have you heard that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's not everybody, but the majority of high school basketball players' lives. The most guys on my team were the best player on their high school basketball team, and at the end of the day, not all of them are going to be on the floor playing next year at Gannon. Some of them are going to have some time where they're going to need to figure it out and develop a little bit, and they got to realize that every single guy on the roster almost is used to being in the same position that they were. So I think it's that, but also learning to figure out how to be selfless and put the team first and care about the greater picture as a whole than just what their specific circumstance is. At the end of the day, everybody wants to be the leading scorer on a team and get the postseason accolades and have cool graphics posted about them and all that stuff.
Right.
But I think it's a testament. It's why I love team sports so much, and why I think that it's so important for every kid to be involved in some form of team somehow. Even if it's not with athletics, I'm like, you got to be involved in some sort of team, because that's life. That's life. You don't get to just live your life. I don't care if you're a work from home entrepreneur. Like, at some point you have to figure out some sort of relationship building, some sort of battle with adversity, some sort of ability to get uncomfortable and sit in that uncomfortable area for some time if you want to be able to grow and develop. So I think team sports is my personal favorite for it, but I mean it's why I've devoted now my life to it, because I just think it's so important for the growth of a person.
Weigh in on that.
I think I think that's where camp comes in. We're talking about in Easton, and Joel, you guys are talking about maybe the little bit older players and how they may think hey, I can go to Gannon or not, but really summer camp is about the younger ones. And a lot of times we get a lot of people now. I'll have people call me, hey, can I get a trainer for my daughter? Yeah. And you got this whole trainer culture out there. And there's nothing wrong with going to a trainer or having a trainer, but when you go to a trainer, you're getting individual work. And to Easton's point, when you come to camp, you're going to be put on a team. You're going to have that social aspect and that team aspect that you do not get when you go to a trainer. So unfortunately, I think some parents are sometimes ignoring camps because they think that's the way to go and that's where they want to put their money. But I do think there's a place in a young person's development and get this team aspect, this social aspect that you have to have, let alone the fact that you're going to get a chance to be around college-age players who are living your dream.
Yeah.
You know, now we got first grade to eighth grade, you know, and then we have some high school shooting camps. We get team camps and we got elite camps and so forth for some of the older ones. But to me, you know, you're laying that foundation with those younger kids. And there's nobody better, in my opinion. I know I'm subjective here. There's nobody better for a young person, a young lady to hang around than my players.
Yeah.
I think they're fantastic, and I think that benefit of camp, you know, to Easton's point and to that point of having a mentor and learning skills, and I just think there's so many benefits to it.
Yeah, I think like Coach said, I mean, there's value to both. There's value to the individual training session, but then there's also, I think, a ton of value to being able to go and actually play the game a little bit with other people and be able to maybe work on some of the things that you're working when it's just you and everything's about you, and then you got to go and realize, okay, now it's no longer just about me. How can I take these things that I've been learning and apply it to a group setting? But yeah, I mean, some of my greatest memories growing up were going to basketball camp. I mean, every summer I was just could not wait to get to basketball camp, and I probably went to every one that I possibly could.
Talk about, again, just because I'm ignorant about all this stuff, but it seems like more and more are kind of getting drawn into like the elite travel teams and things like that. Are your teams full of travelers, or did they play high school ball?
You're talking about like
at Gannon,
basketball team?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean in the world today they have to do both. Yeah,
they have to do both. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, very rarely is it a kid that just plays high school basketball. You know, partially because as college basketball coaches we have specific times where we're allowed to go out on the road recruiting. And during the high school basketball season, do we get out a good amount to be able to watch kids evaluate and things like that? We do, but we're also in season as well. So there's these spring and summer, events that, people are playing in AAU travel basketball. And, those are huge because that's where we can go and we can see 100 kids in one weekend. And, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't remember the last kid that I had signed that didn't play both. I think it's almost a necessity.
So they are still taking time to play in their high school team, right?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
In the States, it's easy when you have somebody that's from the States playing high school and playing travel ball is doable. It's when you go international that maybe it's not quite as good because the high school system internationally is not great. So a lot of them play in a travel situation or a semi-pro situation or something like that.
At what, 16 or something? I mean,
16, 17. Our two Australians on our team, Maddie Wheatley and Mia Slater, both play in NBL 1, which is not the top league over there, but it's the next league. And and I know one of them will do it again this summer when she goes back. So that's good for them.
Yeah. We're talking to Coach Bazzoli and Coach Wright here on from Gannon here. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the camps that are available right after our break. It's 20 after 4. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show here. We've got Coach Easton, Coach Cleve here. I'm not sure I've ever had back-to-back, side-by-side, both head coaches of the basketball program at Gannon. Hey, how about that new Highmark Center you got over there, guys? It's amazing.
Really nice. You know what's really hard is when you bring people in there that don't know what it looked like before. They can't really appreciate it. You know, you're bringing a recruit in, you're like, man, this is great. And they do think it's great, but they just don't realize like how unbelievable it is.
So do the camp kids have any floor time over there at Highmark there?
Yeah, ours will for sure. We'll spend a little bit of time with each age group there.
Fantastic. And of course, you do a lot of the work over at the what is that? The student
rec
union?
center.
Yep. The rec center, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So talk about some of the camps. Let's start with the littlest guys first, and then work our way up. So what are some of the things?
You know, I think the big thing is July 7th to 10th. We've got camp coming up. So it's for similar age, first grade to eighth grade.
Okay. So you're in cohorts, kind of thing.
So we'll have we'll divide it up into so that kids are with their age groups and as similar as possible. They'll spend time similar with what Coach Cleve was saying. They'll be able to spend time with our players. That'll be some camp coaches that are again, like they can kind of look up to them and see, hey, this is what a college basketball player looks like. I think again, going back to my years in camp, it was one of my favorite things about it was being able to be around, the older guys that were kind of where I wanted to be. Even as a little kid, you get to be around guys that have done it, and you get to ask them questions and learn from them, while also learning from our staff and spending a bunch of time, either in big groups or in stations. Biggest thing that we want to focus on with these kids is just one, do you have, what it looks like to have joy while you're playing, and to really love the game, while also, getting a little bit better. And the kids that want to make their middle school team or want to, prepare to make their, soon to be high school team. We want to help kids get there. And then we'll break out and we'll play some games too. So everybody will be put on a team and try and take kind of like what we were saying earlier with everybody's got their own trainer and things like that, and that can be a really good thing. But we'll be emphasizing things that we do throughout each day as in station work and skill work, and implementing that into the way that they play in their 5-on-5 games.
Cleve, talk about. Are the boys separate from the girls, or are they okay? How's that work?
His what were your dates again, Easton?
July 7 to 10.
July 7 to 10, and we have our camps. We do a couple weeks in June. The first one's going to be June 9th through the 12th, and as I understand it, in our community, Mill Creek and Erie Catholic School System is still in school at that time, so they won't be able to take advantage of that. But we have our we have another camp in August for them. I'll talk about that in a second. But fundamental camp for grades 3 through 6, there's a half-day option and a full-day option. That's June 9th through the 12th. And then in the evening on those same dates, we do for grades 1 through 3, the little dribblers. We do those, and that's 5:30 to 7:30. And the way I kind of liken it to little dribblers is probably 80% fun, 20% basketball. And then we get into the fundamental, and it's probably, probably 40% fun, 60% basketball. And then, then later on in June, we have a camp that we just started. This will be our third summer doing it, grades 6 through 8. We call it a high-intensity camp, and that's for girls who are really getting serious about basketball. And we do a lot of competitive stuff. We still do all the teaching. And so that has grown tremendously. And so that's June 23rd through the 26th, and that's 9 to 12. And then we do a shooting camp in the afternoon for grades 6 through the 12. And so if you come to high intensity and you want to do the shooting camp, there's a discount for doing both of those. And then
do you do some screening? I mean, again,
teaching screens.
Just like teaching screens. Yeah,
teaching screens.
But no, like you might have a parent there that has an outsized opinion of their son or daughter's capabilities. Are you able to kind of have the honest conversation, or does it really happen that much?
It's too early to have that kind of conversation.
Okay.
I think when you're talking about
I literally had a coach of my 7th grader who say, you're not going to ever play basketball in high school. I mean, just cut him off at the knees. He ended up starting at his small little high school.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is you can have some good conversations with them because you can say, because one things that we do is we'll challenge the campers to do stuff during camp when they're at home. Like we have a challenge, a shooting challenge, a dribbling challenge, and so they bring it back every day to camp. So they've went home and done stuff. So what we're trying to do is trying to create some sort of habit if possible.
Sure.
But the one thing I did want to mention before we moved on was that because of Erie Catholic schools and Mill Creek weren't available, we did add a camp August 4th through the 7th, and that's that fundamental camp again, grades 3 through 6. We just love working with kids and wanting to do that. So, and then we have our elite camps and all the older ones. But
it's kind of cool that you're able to have players stick around. Most of the players are not from Erie, so
they come back.
Our guys travel. Our guys Our guys, most of them will travel to be here, and because I think they remember doing it when they were kids and remember that impact that some of those older guys had on them. So to be able to come back and they get excited about it and being around, the community and kind of pouring back in a little bit, but then also get a chance to be around each other again for about a week is a nice thing.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing is they come to our games. That's the cool thing is you get that relationship with the players. Now the parents, the campers we have camper days, of course, but then the campers are like, hey, let's go to the game, and so they remember our players. It gives them something to come watch, and then our players will remember them, and so it's a lot of fun that way.
It's cool too, and again, I'm talking out of turn because I don't really know what I'm talking about. But I mean, it doesn't seem like the new rules of college sports, like NIL and transfer portals, are impacting this kind of thing at all, right? I mean,
impacting camp?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No.
Well, that's good.
No. We're not paying people to come to camp.
That's almost hilarious to you, isn't it?
No, they're paying for everything else, but no, we're not paying them to come to camp.
We got to go to break. We're talking to Coach Easton Bazzoli, Coach Cleve Wright from Gannon University. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at Fifth and State. Also live on Facebook and on YouTube. And I'm just excited because we've got Coach Easton Bazzoli, the men's head coach for Gannon University, and Coach Cleve, Wright, the women's head coach at Gannon. We're talking about summer camps. I want to kind of talk a little bit about leadership and some of the other things here. Gentlemen, you think about, you bring in people from all around the country. I mean, Cleve, you've talked about, going to Detroit, going to different locations. I don't know if you ever get out to the West Coast every once in a while, or
For recruiting? Only if it's a special situation.
Yeah. And they're coming to Erie, PA to play basketball in our really cool auditorium. Kind of has that Hoosiers in Pennsylvania kind of mode, if you ask me.
Great description. I like that.
I mean, it's got the vibe, right?
Yeah.
And we play in the PSAC, which is a very competitive conference, right? And you're putting all these parts together to create a team for excellence and success. And meanwhile, you've got young people that are growing up, right? I mean, there's just a lot going on in those 4 years of eligibility, and at a red shirt sitting on the bench, they're practicing and whatever, Talk about that. You mentioned team before. It's always great to be on a team, but there's something electric that goes on with these teams. Jump in.
The thing that came to my mind right when you were saying that is, some people who are, if they know women's basketball at all, they would know who Corey Close is. Corey Close is the current UCLA women's basketball coach. They were number one going into the tournament. They made it all the way to the Final Four. They got beat by UConn pretty handily in the semifinal. And in the press conference, there were, I think the reporters were trying to get to see if she would be, how frustrated. They were trying to get her to express herself.
Get her going.
And what she said was, she goes, "I know some of you guys are going to think this is soft." She said, we are going to be on a relentless quest to hang a national championship banner in Poly Pavilion. She said, but banners were meant to hang in the rafters, rings collect dust, but what you are becoming and who you impact will last forever. And that is exactly, to me, she hit it the nail on the head. I've known Corey for 25 years. We were both assistant coaches at the Division I level. And that is, to me, that is my heart as a coach as well. We want to win, no question. But it is the most important thing is who our players are becoming and how they are understanding their impact, not only on their teammates that are within the program, but also to our community. And so we're going to focus on that, and we want to have our players grow and mature, and go out into the world prepared.
And do you feel that do parents and those that are supporting these young kids that are coming up, do they understand that kind of scope, or is that something that they have to learn along with the player? Yeah. Again, there's a lot of learning that has to happen on the parental side. If I needed to learn how to be a good sports dad, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both. I think that the best are always, like, there's never a time where they sit there and think I've learned it all and I've got no more development in me. And so I think it's both with players and parents. I think often it's yes, is it maybe a little bit easier to get to a kid that has parents that have the same mentality of, just continue to get better, to work, handle adversity well. Absolutely. Those guys are sometimes maybe easier to work with from the very beginning. But it's like what Coach said. I mean, it's about development. You used a word that we use a lot in our program is just impact. And, we talk a lot about impacting winning on the floor. And when we're talking basketball and how it looks like so many things other than just putting the ball in the basket, but also impacting each other, impacting the university, impacting their community, so that they can one day impact their family and lead their family, impact anybody that they come around with, not just being another maybe employee that just shows up and does the bare minimum to maybe not get fired, but maybe never, gets put in that leadership position either. But being someone that knows how to create impact in a positive manner.
Yep. I feel like you talk about impact, and one of the definitions of leadership is being a person of influence. Mm-hmm. Is everybody a leader on a team?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that everybody is a leader in some form or fashion. Now there may be guys that are specifically looked to as a leader on any given year, but I'm just a firm believer that every single person that comes through our program should have some form of responsibility felt. That maybe I'm a little bit of a follower in some categories, but if I'm just a follower, I'm never impacting. I just do whatever's going on around me. I'm a firm believer that everybody should have some sense of ownership and leadership over some category of whatever it is. Leadership can look like anything. It's not just the guys that maybe go to the captain's circle at the beginning of a game. It's sometimes it's the guy on the bench that is clearly the most genuinely excited for when a guy makes a shot, and it's not him, and he's the guy that's constantly leading and standing up and applauding, and that stuff's contagious as well. It's the guy that is communicative in the locker room in a positive manner. It's the guy that people can look to and maybe isn't the loudest person, but you can never question his work ethic. And to say that guy isn't impacting and leading in a way that people look at and can follow. I think there's so many different ways. I mean, even we've got guys on our team that I know for a fact lead their teammates. I don't even know if their teammates realize it, but lead their teammates by, hey, this is what being a good student looks like. And they can look at this guy and go, man, he's got good grades. His teachers like him. His classmates like him. When we go to the cafeteria and eat, he's got other people talking to him. It's whether, I don't care how many points he's scoring at any given game. I don't know how many sprints he's winning on a specific time. I don't know how many, or if he's in our starting lineup at the moment. But I can think of a specific guy on our team that I know he lives with people that can look at him and they're better students because of him. So
that true student athlete. Yeah, we use that word, but we want to be committed to that concept, right?
Yeah. So I think everybody has a responsibility to lead. Does that mean everybody on my team's a leader right now? Not yet, but they will be. I mean, they're going to be put in positions where they're going to develop into leaders, whether they want to or not. And I think at the end of the day, the good thing is all of them say they want to, and it's learning what that actually looks like and acting out.
I think in our program, I certainly believe that that's John Maxwell's definition of leadership is influence. And everybody has influence, whether it's good or whether it's bad. And so in our program, we really say there's 5 positions of leadership, and I've probably added a 6, but real quickly what they are is voted leadership is the weakest because it's popularity. So if you're, some people vote for captains or whatever, vote for leaders. We don't necessarily do that. We think leaders reveal themselves, right? So 1 is voted. The second one is seniority. When in other words, if you've been there 1 year, that freshman comes in and you're doing something, they're going, oh, Joel's doing it that way, and he's been here a year. That must be the way we do it. And if Joel's a sophomore, that's influence. If Joel's a junior, that's even more. If Joel's a senior, it's even more. So that's automatic influence. And again, it can be good or bad. The next one would be by position. Our point guards are always going to have influence. They're always going to have influence on how we play, what we look like, what we're doing, how organized we are. So by position, you're going to have influence. And then the two that after that are perceived hardest workers. Perceived not by us as coaches, but by the team. Perceived hardest workers are always going to have influence because they are showing their commitment to the team. So people come in and they go, and as you can already tell, you can hold multiple positions of leadership.
Sure.
When you hold multiple positions of leadership, guess what you have more of? You have more influence. The last one is perceived best players. You're perceived, not by the coaches, but by the players. If they perceive you as one of the better players, and you think about all those things that keep adding up, you have more and more influence. The one that I would add to that, and I think Easton referred to it a little bit, I do think that personality does creep in there. And you always hope that it'll creep in there for a good thing, because some people can have a strong personality, and if it's a negative personality, if it's a bad personality, obviously we're not trying to have a narcissistic personality on our team at all, period. But personality does, when somebody's willing to just say whatever the crud's on their mind, no matter what the situation, that is going to influence some people. But then now to me, your responsibility as a coach is trying to teach people, how do you handle that? Right?
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Do you speak up when you know it's wrong? Do you shrink from it? And so this is that relationship component that Easton and I are talking about. These are what I'm talking about right here is in the responsibilities. You have these positions of leadership. There's responsibility. So now everybody on our team, even a freshman, can be one of our hardest workers. We had some great freshmen this year. They're hardworking. They had influence on our team. And so when you start adding these others, they have more and more influence. So it's just exciting when and if you try to point this out to the players, then they don't feel like they're followers. Like a terminology we use in our program, we'll have primary leaders, or what we call torchbearers. And then we have sheepdogs, which are also gap fillers. And then you have some followers. But maybe they hit one of those positions, and maybe their influence isn't quite as great early on, maybe as a freshman. Man, it just keeps growing and keeps growing and keeps growing. And I think people, I know the people we recruit, and I know the people Easton recruit. These people are motivated. We want motivated people around us. We want people who want to compete, and do it in a healthy way. And so,
is there ever disconnect between what the coaches are perceiving, who's the hard worker, who's the better player, and what the students are perceiving?
Great question.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, of course.
Well, and do you feel like you have to set the students straight, or are they setting you straight?
Well, I think there's two sides of it, and one, it starts with what Coach was just talking about. It starts in recruiting, and if you recruit the right kind of people, you recruit high character, highly competitive people, then a lot of this stuff, there is less disconnect, and there's a lot more that's clear. And I think it's part of our jobs to be able to do two things: have a good sense of what the pulse of the team is, and be on the same page with those things specifically. Who works really hard? Is it something that we talk about? Like, we make sure that we are talking about work ethic, but also, encouraging, saying it publicly in front of the team about guys that maybe are specifically setting themselves apart. And we want that to be difficult to set yourselves apart as a Gannon men's basketball player because of what it is, but also because we love guys that love dragging somebody else to the gym when they go as well. But when there is that, we didn't really have that this year. We didn't have that much a year ago. But I've been a coach on a roster where maybe there is a little bit of that disconnect, where some guys think maybe this guy is worthy of playing a little bit more. What I've found over my time is, the best possible thing is just default honesty. And if you got to sit there and have that conversation, sometimes easy, sometimes very uncomfortable. If the default is just, let's just be really honest, then one, it helps your team and your players start to become a little bit honest with themselves and with each other. And that doesn't mean that maybe the coaches are always right or the players are always right. But truth comes out, and if we're just looking to be true and to work in honesty, that stuff will figure itself out, especially if you're recruiting high character people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Coach, I got to ask you about the impact of Caitlin Clark on the women's game. It seems like it's a different moment than when you started coaching 20 plus years ago, right? I mean,
well, I think absolutely, there's no question. The spotlight has certainly come out, and Caitlin Clark did a great job of handling that spotlight in a very positive way. There were many times I think she could have went negative. She could have given in to some of the hype or some of the things that are out there that are always pitfalls for people that are in the spotlight like that. And I think, man, she really handled it well. I think she was a really good example to a lot of young kids. And you see how many little girls they followed her everywhere. They followed her everywhere in Iowa. They followed her everywhere at Indiana with the Indiana Fever. And I'll tell you, last year I was able to go to, in her rookie season, I was able to go to the Indiana Fever to training camp, their training camp. I was able to go, and it was just phenomenal to see. You see her in games, but then to watch her practice, man, she practices hard. And it wasn't, like something that you could tell why she is as good as she is. She just competes every day.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you wonder, the whole be like Mike, be like Caitlin. I mean, it is. It seems like we're in that kind of moment in the women's game. Let's talk what this fall looks like for you guys. You're already probably have game plans in your brain as you who are you meeting first, Coach Bazzoli? Who's first on the roster? You remember?
To play?
To play, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be heading to our...
Who are we playing?
Yeah. Schedule's not completely done yet, but the first game is. So we're going to be headed out to Bowie State for our opening weekend. We'll play Bowie State and Fayetteville State out there. So, it should be a good first opening test. I haven't thought about either of those teams, much at all since signing the contract and saying we're going to do it.
What is that, like a tip-off classic?
Yeah,
kind of thing?
it's they call it the crossover, challenge every year. We try and play two teams within our region, to get the season started in back-to-back days. So, I couldn't tell you a single player on any of those teams. Right. Still trying to finish our own roster for the coming year. So. But I'm sure as the summer goes on and we hit the fall, I'll start thinking about them a lot.
Yeah. How about you, Coach?
We actually, I think we've put it out there, and we've done some public, some PR already. But we are actually hosting in partnership with Edinboro, Conference Commissioners Association event here in Erie. The Erie Sports Commission has helped to organize it. Gannon and Erie women's basketball strongly involved. AHN is a sponsor, major sponsor. This will be a preseason event where we'll bring in 6 other teams.
Oh, wow.
Along with Gannon and Edinboro. All 8 teams they've been recruited, they've been in, but every team has made the national tournament this past year. There are former national champions, former Elite 8 participants. It is going to be a big time. It is the weekend prior to the official opening of the season, so it's a preseason thing. It counts in the standings, it counts in your record and all that. Yeah. But it's so exciting to have Erie be the host of this. There's teams from all over the country. There'll be different states represented, and so games will be at Edinboro and at Gannon. We're excited about it. There'll be a lot more rolling out. Maybe you'll have me back over. We can talk more once we announce those teams and whatever. But that's a super exciting start to our year.
Finally, how do families get involved with Gannon summer camps in basketball and really generally in athletics there?
Yeah, go to the Gannon athletics website, and you can go to men's basketball and the camps, and it's real easy to find there. We've got it posted all over our social medias and pretty easily accessible online. So pretty smooth to be able to sign up there. And then always, if there's any questions, can reach out to myself, Bazzoli 002 at Gannon.edu, or my assistant Mike Chalice, who's heavily involved in that as well.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, there's what I think we put it on the Facebook or put it on
good.
something. The link is on there. You can do. I think it's GannonCamps.com gets every camp at Gannon. Gannon, if you go, as Easton said, if you just go to our website and you scroll around there, but if you've got that link, if you type in Gannon women's basketball camps, something's going to pop up.
Yeah.
And certainly if it doesn't, then go to our website, shoot me an email. I'll make sure you get all your questions answered. We'd love to work with young people in this community. We want to have as many as we can around us throughout the summer.
I appreciate it. Coach Easton Bazzoli, the men's head coach, Coach Cleve Wright, the women's head coach at Gannon University. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank
you for having us, Joel. We appreciate it.
You got it. It is Talk Erie.